Okay, so we're looking at this and wanted to make sure that it actually was covering our base. So see how it wasn't really covering it there? So we just click the edge and we extrude it up. That didn't work, didn't like that. UCS, F for face, and we select the edge. That's our working plane. Now when we move it, M for move, we'll move up. But see how it's moving all in random directions like that? I'm going to turn ortho on. That snaps it, so it'll only move in the direction I want it to move, which is great. So you see there was, that level there was the level that we actually originally drew our cookie cutter thing on. Cool. Alright, so I'm going to turn that on, everything's on. So now we use the subtract command. Alright, so what do we want to subtract from? We want to subtract from that, we want to subtract this, and it's all done. Look at that. So we've now got our heel, which is great. Okay, so it's a reasonably comfortable looking heel. So now I'm going to turn the base off, and I'm going to turn the box back on. And, sorry, I didn't turn the base didn't turn off because it wasn't my working plane, so I'll make that my working plane, and I'll turn the base off. Alright, so now I want to draw the actual stiletto part of the heel. I think that's what you call it. Sorry if I get that wrong. And so I need to select my working plane. UCS, F for face, and I'm going to select the bottom of the box. That's my working plane. Cool. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the base back on. And I'm actually going to make the base my working layer, and I'm going to turn that off. Okay, now we know that we want to actually draw our heel here on the bottom. So I click circle. Ah, it's white. That's why I can't see it. I'm going to go back to 2D drafting. Hopefully that will make my life a bit easier. Okay, I can see that a bit better now. I'm going to draw a circle. Draw it there. Alright, so that's how wide the heel's going to be. I reckon at the top it could probably be 13, at the bottom we can make it thinner. So why don't we make it 14? Okay, now that's not really where we want it. We sort of want it on the bottom. So I'm going to click there, whoa, click there, and I'm going to move it. M for move. Snap it so that the end is there. Alright, now how high did we make our heel? Does anyone remember? Yeah, well, we made it 5 centimeters high. So, sort of drawn that there. We can extrude that. No, it's not wanting to give us the extrude options. So we can go back to 3D modeling, I guess. Mine always comes up with that error. It's because of some other stuff I've been doing. So we want to make it 50, because that's how high we originally made it. And remember how last week we learned about editing faces? So what I'm going to do is, this guy here is on the same level as base. I'm going to make a new layer. Calling it heel, and I'm going to make that a green. Okay. I'm going to select that. I'm going to select this first. Put that on heel. It's being a bit difficult. Go back to 2D drafting. Hopefully that'll fix it. Sorry about that. Put that on. put that on heel and maybe turn that off. Heal my working one and turn base off. Okay, so now I've got that. Okay, and we'll just change our view to modeling so we can actually see what we're doing. Alright, now there was a command called solid edit, and we're going to edit the body, and no, it's not the body, it's the face, sorry, and we're going to taper it. So remember we did that the week before? We're going to taper that face, and want to go from there down to there, and I think we said like 6 degrees was good, didn't we? Probably not enough. So we'll try that again. F for face, T for taper. I tapped F. Select the face, that face, and there down to there, and I'm going to go 11. There we go. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think it's in the right spot. I mean, maybe it's a bit ugly. I'm not sure. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the working plane to the top of that heel. So UCS, F for face, click the top. And remember how we drew our thing last time? Well, this time we're going to use a polyline. And press F3 and turn ortho off. That way you can select where you're going to slice. I reckon about there. It's like making a cookie cutter. You probably remember we did it last time. Extrude that. Height of extrusion, let's go -300. Okay, so it's made a massive big thing that we don't really want. Subtract. I want to subtract from that. I want to subtract that. Okay, now we have our heel that's going all the way down like we wanted it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is turn this guy back on. So now we've got that there like we wanted it, but there's a little bit of it jutting out here, and also sort of not really marrying up there very well. You can just hover over there, and we can go back to 3D modeling. It's a bit weird, isn't it? You do something like this. If you want, I don't know if that looks great. I actually don't like that very much. I'm going to Control Z that, and change my working plane to that again, and I'm actually going to move that. Okay, I moved it back a little bit. Okay, but still that doesn't look real good because it's sort of coming through. So what you do is you select that, you use Shift Control C, and it says select base point. Type 0, 0, 0, and it selects your base point, and then go Control V, and now you're holding it, so it's going to paste it. So you go 0, 0, 0, and it copies it back in exactly the same spot. Now the reason we're doing that is because we're actually going to subtract. We're going to use the subtract command. Okay? So object to subtract from this one, object to subtract this one. Okay, so it actually deleted that first object, but now what's happened is it's actually made this into two separate things. So when we go solid edit and select the solid to edit, and we go B for body, and then we go P for separate, and we select this solid, and now it's separated these into two separate solids. So when I click that, I can just delete that. You know what I mean? So now that's part of this. Okay? So now our heel is part of that. Now we might want to do some stuff in there, like some chamfering and stuff. So what we do now is we select both of these, we type union. Okay? Now it's joined those into one thing now. Okay, which is kind of cool. So now we can start putting our own artistic touch on this heel. So I can hover over to there and I can put, let's go 7, see what it does. There we go. It's giving me a nice arc in there. Maybe I want something bigger than that. Let me go 14. Yep, it says that was too big. Let me go 10. That was also too big. Let me go 8. Alright, it doesn't mind that. So now it's given me a nice chamfer there, and I can do another chamfer in there as well. So I select that guy there, and I can do like 3 maybe. Didn't like that. Ah, that's why. Because of that there. So it doesn't want to let me fillet that at all because of that. Which I guess is okay. Because you see how it's intersecting directly with that, so it won't let me do the fillet there. So if I pulled that out, say 1 mil, oh, that looks a bit weird, then it will let me fillet. Go 1. See what I mean? Okay, and then I can push that back in. Okay, now it's done it. So now we've got our heel, okay, and we've sort of put some cool finishes on it. I mean, there's other things we can do. We can select these guys here and we can chamfer that, say with a 2 mil. And just save my work. Chamfer that. Put 2 mil there. Yeah. Like that. We've got to play with that some more. But now we sort of have our basic structure of our heel, you know. So now what do we have to do? Well, we have our little section here to do. So we're just going to do that quickly. And we can play with that in Mesh Mixer once we get to that point. So we can turn that off if we want, and we can turn our base back on, and we can change our working plane back to this one. Okay, so that's our working plane again. I'm getting sick of this external box here, so I'm going to get rid of that. So whereabouts do we want our our thing to be? The thing where our foot goes through on the heel. Now I think a good place for it would actually be around about here. So I'm going to draw a polygon. And I'm going to turn off the snap function. So that's probably an okay spot for it. Now, probably want it like that, and probably like that. Like that's pretty good. And then we probably want it to sort of match what we're doing. So we can basically, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to put it on the base layer, and I'm going to change everything to base. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cheat a little bit, and we are going to use the trim command. Whoops, wrong way around. Trim. Okay, let's trim that away, and trim that away, and trim that away. Okay, so we just delete that guy, and maybe this guy here. I'm just gonna explode that whole thing. Okay, get rid of that. Use the extend command. Click that, and click that. Okay. Now I'm going to use the trim command again. I'm going to click that and that. Press enter, and I'm going to trim this so that it's now the shape that we want. I'm going to select the whole thing, join it. Okay. Now we probably want to extrude that. Just hover over it. Let's bring it up. Let's say 35. Okay. So we've got that there. Now we can turn this back on. So now we've got like a weird thing that's sitting in sort of in our shoe, and you're not sure if we like it. I don't really like it very much. So we can sort of have a look at it and say, oh, is that a good place for the strap or not? I think it's alright. Maybe back a little bit, but that's something you guys can play with if you want. And I think it's probably a little bit high. I'm going to bring it down 5 mil. Okay, and then we can put some stuff on it. So I would click both sides. Click that one, and then do the chamfer. And see how it's doing both at the same time? I think that looks alright. What do you think? I think so. Okay, so now we look at that and we think, oh, okay, well, that there probably needs a little bit of something. That's alright, let's sort of fix that. Now we've got this funny little bit jutting out the bottom. Now we do the same thing that we did last time to sort that out. So we go Shift Control C. Oh, no, select that. Sorry, first select it. Shift Control C. 0, 0, 0. Enter. And then Control V. And we go 0, 0, 0. And it puts it in the same spot. And we go subtract. Object to subtract from is that. Object to no, that's not right. Object to subtract from is that. Object to subtract is that. Cool. So that's done it. Now we go solid edit. B for body. P for separate. And we click this guy. So now that is gone because it was a separate object. Okay, that's cool. So now we have that, but it hasn't got a hole in it. So we need to put a hole in it so that we can actually put our foot through. Okay, we're nearly there now. So we go solid edit, and we go B for body, and S for shell, and we select that, and it says the shell, and let's say 2 millimeters should be enough. Okay, you think, well, what did that do? It didn't do anything. Well, it did. We pushed that back 3 millimeters. Whoops. Look at that. Now we have the better part of a heel done. Now there's some stuff which looks a bit funny on it. And we might need to resolve those things in Mesh Mixer, which is fine. So we're going to save that, and we're actually going to do a union on that. So select the whole thing, union, okay. Okay, probably push that down. Okay, we've got our heel. There's a few different ways to do it, but I think it's looking alright. Okay, that's looking a bit messed up there, but we can definitely fix that in Mesh Mixer. So I'm just going to select that and go STL out. Yes, and I'm going to call it high 2. That's alright, we call it high 2. Alright, now we're going to open up Mesh Mixer. Open, and it's not a mix file. I'm going to import custom projects, high heel, high 2. Okay, so a fair few of you guys played with this one. If you press left click lets you actually move around. Okay, sort of drag something and move it around, and now you've got this in here. So first thing you need to do is you need to solidify it. I'm going to see if I can remember how to do that.